And those are your caramelized onions. Hey guys, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Jamison, and this is how I cook. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of a utility recipe. I'm going to show you how to make caramelized onions. I need these onions for another recipe that I'm going to show you how to make later on my channel. So we're going to show you how to caramelize some onions. These make a great topping for burgers, sandwiches. You can throw them on as a garnish for your soup or for any dish or steak. It's an amazing accompaniment for any meal. Up next, This Is How I Cook, caramelized onions. Okay guys, before we get too far into the ingredients in this recipe, do me a favor, hit that subscription button and turn on those notifications. It really does help my growing channel. So we're going to start with 3 sweet onions. These are fairly large onions. I say sweet onions because there are a couple of different varieties of sweet onions, but these are Vidalia, quote unquote, sweet onions. And these have a little bit more sugar in them, but you can do caramelized onions with just, traditional white onions, even red onions. You may want to add a pinch of sugar if you are worried about the caramelization, but starting with sweet onions, you don't have that problem. We're going to use a little bit of butter to do the browning of the onions to get the caramelization to happen. And not pictured here, you're going to want to have a little bit of water. It'll help deglaze some of the brown bits that develop on the bottom of the pan as we caramelize the onions. And then in the end, we'll adjust the flavor of our caramelized onions with a little bit of salt and pepper. So we want to start by chopping up our onion. And really we want to slice it. I say chop, but we really want to slice the onion. And this is going to be, up to you how big you want it to be, the slices. I like them a little thick though, because as you caramelize the onions, they shrink. So we just come in and remove the outer skin of the onion. Then we just cut the onion in half. And then the last thing we do is just cut nice slices of onion. And like I said, I want these kind of thick. Okay, now that we've got our onions cut up into slices, we've got a stainless steel pan. I've got a fairly large pan because we need room for the onions. And what I'm going to do now is add my butter. And this is about 2 generous tablespoons of butter. And so then what we do is once the butter begins to melt, we just come and add in our onions. And really the trick to caramelized onions is taking your time and working the onions and letting them take time to sweat. And break down. And you just want to break apart the onion slices into their individual strands. And it starts off looking like a lot of onions, but what you'll see happen is these are going to shrink drastically as we get into the caramelization process. Now, as your fond develops in the bottom of the skillet, you can kind of make some space here to expose it and take a little bit of water to help get that fond up off the pan and incorporate it into the onions. You don't want to soak the onions there. You just want to get that fond up that's developing. We'll do the same thing on this side too. And we're just deglazing the pan to get that fond up. Okay, at this point, we've got a light caramelization on our onions. And you can see that our onions are probably reduced down to I'd say probably a third of the size of what they were when I put them into the pan. And once again, as this fond develops, you can scrape it with your wooden spoon. And if it doesn't want to come up, just add a little bit of water. And we just keep working our onions. We're almost there. So at this point, we have the texture that we want. The onions are nice and jammy, which is what you're looking for with caramelized onions. We've got a nice, beautiful golden brown color. The sweetness has been developed because of this slow cooking process. This caramelization is going to make these taste amazing on whatever you put these on. At this point, you can keep going to get a darker color. It's truly up to you in terms of your preference. But you want to be careful and not burn your onions. So be patient here at this step, this part of the step, and just keep scraping that beautiful onion fond that has developed at the bottom of the pan. Those nice, beautiful brown bits. Keep scraping it down into the onions. At this point, we want to adjust the seasoning on our onions. Keep in mind what you plan on putting these on. So I'm going to go with a little bit of salt. And a pinch of black pepper. And those are your caramelized onions. Okay guys, so now we've got our onions cooked. We've caramelized these bad boys. Let's have a taste test. Oh. Every time I caramelize onions, I'm just amazed at how the flavor transforms and how the texture becomes just almost like candy, jammy, almost like a preserve. And it's sweet, still has a subtle hint of onion flavor in there. The salt and pepper add a nice accentuation to the flavor. It is delicious. This is a perfect condiment on top of any meal that you're gonna make. Steak, sandwiches, burgers. You can spread that on toast and be happy with it. Guys, thank you again for watching my channel, Jamison Presents This Is How I Cook. Once again, I'm Jamison. This has been my kitchen. I've got to go and get ready for this next recipe. You're gonna want to stick around. If you made it to this far in the video, these are gonna be great on my Super Bowl winning sliders. Yeah, I'm making sliders and I need the caramelized onions for the sliders. You're gonna want to check out that recipe. Look for the card right here. And thank you guys again for watching my channel, Jamison Presents This Is How I Cook. Take care.